These are the plaintiffs, Jennifer and Scott. They say they rented the first floor of a house from the defendant, and she owes them for temporary housing after Hurricane Sandy hit. They're also suing the insane woman for their belongings because she wouldn't allow them to retrieve their things once the water subsided. The woman owes them, plain and simple, and that's why they're here suing her for the $5,000 they're due. This is the defendant, Danielle LaCourse. She says Sandy hit the plaintiffs with a vengeance. A wave crashed through the house and took all their belongings with it back out to sea. The house was condemned. The plaintiffs didn't have renter's insurance. She paid for their hotel, and now they're acting in a vindictive way. She's accused of not having a heart.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiffs rented a place from the defendant and says that they were victims of Hurricane Sandy, and as a result, they couldn't get their belongings back, and that's why they're suing. And the defendant says the plaintiffs' belongings were lost because a wave crashed into their house. It's the case of wave your stuff.
Thank you, Douglas. Jennifer and Scott, you've asked us not to mention your last name, so we'll respect that. You're suing Danielle LaCourse, your former landlord, for $5,000 in damages that you say far exceed that, associated with Hurricane Sandy. Tell me what happened.
We rented from the defendant since October of 2010, and in October of 2012, we went through Hurricane Sandy.
Tell me about the house. This is located where?
Okay, this is directly on the beach.
Directly on the beach.
Right. It was beautiful. It was right on the beach. We took very good care of the apartment, painted it. My husband boarded up. He actually framed.
What kind of apartment is it? Is it an apartment building? Or
it's a 3-family house, and we were on the first floor.
And you were on the first floor.
Right. So our apartment sustained all of the damage,
right.
Or the majority of the damage. My husband, despite the fact that my husband framed and Scott, he framed and put thick plywood around the house.
Sometimes it's not enough for the fury of the storm. But.
And this was like the worst storm in Connecticut, that we've ever seen.
Right.
So we evacuated on the 31st.
What day was Hurricane Sandy? October 29th?
The 29th.
It was like a 2-day storm.
Right.
We couldn't go back for a couple of days.
Okay.
And then
at this point, you were paying your rent monthly?
Oh, yes.
And so you'd paid October.
Right. We paid
Had you paid November?
No.
Okay.
No,
so
it
go
was,
on.
Right. It was before the 1st. So what happened was, on the 31st, we both went back with our dog. We evacuated with our dog, and it was catastrophic. It was the concrete wall was in our front rooms and in our bathroom. Did
you have renter's insurance?
We had renter's insurance. Unfortunately, we didn't have flood insurance. We were not, but we're not suing for that. We understand that we had to accept that loss, and we have since purchased all new things. But the things that were there that we put up high, they were salvageable. And Ms. LaCourse promised us that she would have someone there that to board up the house, because the whole front of the apartment was gone, so that nobody could go in and do anything. That never happened. On the 31st,
can you guys keep it down? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. On the 31st, the City Health Department came to assess all of the damage on the shore, and they did condemn the house, and the police put tape around it.
Which means you can't get your stuff out?
Correct.
Okay, go on.
Okay, and when the health inspector talked to us, all 3 families were present, and he gave us his card. He said that the landlord was responsible for our housing. Because
for what?
For our housing, emergency housing, because the house was condemned.
Okay,
and
I'm trying to understand the and let me ask you this: you had not collected November rent,
Correct.
Did you have a lease with them?
Yes, month to month. I have it right here.
A month-to-month lease.
Yep.
Okay. Did you have a security deposit with them?
Yes, and I returned it with interest.
You returned the security deposit?
Yes.
All right. Who is the person next to you who keeps interrupting,
Wait,
raising her
I'm
hand,
sorry.
talking? Who is that?
Judy
I'm not-
Durasmo.
Who is she, though?
I'm the tenant.
I'm not asking you. I'm asking her. Who is she to you?
Judy Durasmo. She was my former tenant.
Oh, she's another one of your tenants. Okay.
That
I'll let
was-
you know when it's your turn, okay?
That was at the premises when everything took place.
Okay. So, did you have insurance?
I do, but the problem is the wind claim is different from the flood claim because the wind affected the second and third
Okay, so
floor.
let's go through it one by one. You're suing her for $6,355 for your personal property because what?
Because there were things that were salvageable. And we took,
And why didn't you just go in there and get them?
because she would never let us retrieve our
The
property.
place was condemned according to your testimony. It is not her who's not letting you on there. It is the city that is not letting you on there.
Right, and we asked her, I repeatedly asked her, she was allowing people to live, she was allowing the Durasmo family to live on the second floor. And I have proof of that because.
What was condemned, the first floor or all of it?
The entire home.
Were you living on the second floor?
Me, my husband, my daughter, and my grandchildren, and her husband were homeless too. We all went to human services. We were not allowed in there to even get our stuff. It was devastating that time of the hurricane. It was like a war zone over there. She tried to do the best she could. She really did. I mean, I was on the street too with my grandchildren. I didn't go after my landlord for this. They put a lien on her house for all of us to be in the Howard Johnson's motor inn. And she's paying for it.
Over $30,000 lien
Okay.
on my house. Yes.
What's in your hand?
Oh, my Bible. I always come to court with the Bible.
Let me just ask you, you always go to court with your Bible. How often do you go to
If
court?
I go. Well, I'm trying to tell the truth.
Okay, all right. Can I, tell me what bad act, what negligence on the part of your landlord happened that she's responsible? Where is your property, by the way? What ended up happening later?
I have no clue.
Where is that property today, a year and a half later?
April 1st, I had to hire a company to come out and air out the bottom because no one would come and get their stuff because I did contact the Milford Police Department, Officer Young, and he did call Jennifer and tell her that she needed to get her stuff because by April 1st, we had to clean it out. It started to
Okay,
stink.
when did the condemnation end?
Well, that's why I contacted Officer Young because everything was, the health department had it condemned.
What's the answer to my question? Does anybody know? How do you get my stuff if I'm not allowed to go in there?
She was allowed by Officer Young.
Okay, so the way it works, do you have pictures of the damage?
Yes.
Can I see it?
Yes.
So the way it works is that that with the consent and what, they stay there while you're doing it?
No.
He said, no, I gave her permission at any time because she does work
I see the
full-time.
emails because I do. In fact, you're the one who gave me the emails from her in January saying, "Come and get your stuff. Get your stuff." And why didn't you get them in January?
We have a police report. We made arrangements with
In
her.
January?
In December.
In December.
December 15th, we had plans to meet her at the house 8 a.m. We called for a police escort because the Durasmo family was living on the second floor still. They kept going in there. They were putting up Christmas
Why would
decorations.
you need a police escort? Because they're living there. You don't get along with them?
We did. In fact, they stayed when they were during the week that we were paying for our own hotel. They stayed in our room for 2 nights.
Okay, so why would you need a police escort? That didn't make sense to me.
I can explain. On November 19th, I was there with our insurance adjuster.
Right.
And the police were called on me by Danielle.
Oh, okay. So you were
saying
now
that
not getting along.
saying that I was damaging property.
Okay.
On the 15th, she agreed to meet us at 8 a.m. We rented a
The
van.
15th of December.
December.
Yes, okay.
We rented a van. At 8:30, I called her because she wasn't there. She stated she had a birthday party or something.
Do you have receipts for rental van and fuel?
Yes.
Let me see those. What happened on the 15th of December?
I do remember talking to Jennifer for 2 hours on a cell phone because the first 2 times Dominic and I went to meet Jennifer, she did not show up. I live an hour and a half
Who's
away
Dominic?
from the property.
I was the property manager.
Come on up, please sit down.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was the property manager. I was helping Danielle through the course of the...
Were there prior appointments that the plaintiff
There were
didn't?
2 prior appointments to which we were asked to meet Jennifer, and she did not show up. So we were there twice.
Did you actually speak with Jennifer?
I didn't speak with her. Danielle had direct contact with Jennifer.
So Danielle would tell you, please go meet Jennifer. She's going to the property,
Right.
and then she didn't show up.
Right, no one would show up.
Okay.
And she told me she was intimidated because she thought Judy was staying there. So she did not want to go there. And that's why I decided to call Officer Young at the Milford Police Department because she wouldn't go. I can't make her get her things. But I wasn't about to drive an hour and a half every time she said she would be there because I did that
except
twice.
for that she rented a van that day at 6:28 a.m.
I didn't know she rented. She never told me.
Right, but so that's a day she's really going to make it. So
She had no, I wasn't stopping her. I was on the phone with her for 2 hours. I said, go in. She didn't want to because Judy, she thought Judy was
Why
there.
couldn't you go in that day? Yeah.
If we had gone in, they theoretically could have called the police on us and we would have got arrested.
I don't care about theory. Why couldn't you physically go in on the day
For
that you
that-
had a
for that
van?
fear.
We saw them.
I have a police
We saw them
report
there. We have a police report proving
when
that
they
they were
came.
there.
Who was there?
The Durasmo family. And
I don't care about them. Why are they stopping you from just doing what you got to do and getting your
Because
stuff?
They
if
kept
we had
calling
gone
the
in-
police on us.
Okay, then again, you can't go in because the police won't let you.
But she was giving us permission when she's supposed to know
Then
that.
how is it her fault? If the
But she's
police
supposed
are
to know that as
depriving
the
you of the
landlord.
opportunity to walk in there, then how is it her fault?
She needs
I
to
don't-
know that as the landlord. She's dealing with them.
She
She's
needs-
dealing with the health department. She's
Okay,
dealing-
but if the police are telling you you can't go in, because you've called the police down there, by the way, right? Because you could have just gone in. You just didn't want to because the Durasmo family was there. Let me see that police report.
So is it the defendant's fault that they couldn't get their belongings if the police wouldn't let them in?
No, I think it's a matter of security at that point in time. I mean, the police are trying to secure all the properties. So once everything's secure, they can go back in and get their belongings.
But it's not the landlord's fault if the police say you can't go in.
No, I don't think it's the landlord's fault. I think it's up to the police to determine who can go in because it's a matter of security. It's up
Okay,
to.
fair enough. What do you think? Quickly.
Yeah, I think.
I don't care what you think. You guys twins.
No, we're friends.
How do you end up looking exactly alike if you're not what is this about? I gotta know.
I don't know.
Boy band?
We're not in a boy band, just best friends.
We'll crack this mystery going inside the courtroom.
You had talked to her and told her, I'm going to secure the home.
Yes.
And did she tell you that she would reimburse you for?
Yes, she told us to take it off November.
And do you have a receipt for $300 for the plywood?
They were in the house.
Why don't you have to pay that? Put your hand down, Mr. Rasmussen. Why don't you have to pay that?
I was not aware that they bought $300 worth of plywood, and this is my receipt from Home Depot from what I purchased for them.
Let me see. I don't understand. If she's got,
Your Honor,
can I?
hold-
I'm going to have to take you out if you don't stop. I need quiet while I'm working here, please. All right. Quantity: 25 50-pound sandbags, a drop cloth, curbside delivery for the sandbags. How's that plywood? Where's the plywood?
I know I ordered plywood.
Okay, sweetheart, you can't just say something and then hand me something else and say it proves it. Well, you think I'm that, like, not, that I'm that careless?
I must have
Please give me a
forgot.
receipt for all that plywood you say they didn't have to buy because you bought it.
I don't have it.
Do you have a receipt for the plywood you bought?
It was in the house.
Do you have an email, a text where she says, yes, I'll pay for the lumber?
We have some text messages.
Did they talk about that lumber?
There's so many.
I don't know. There were so many text messages.
Okay, you know what? Just give it to me and I'll scroll through them. And there's repeated texts from her telling you to get your stuff. I'm going to order you to pay the $300 for the plywood. I don't think that the stuff getting, number one, I don't see any proof that you had plywood there, and I don't doubt that it was probably about $300 in plywood. I see a text from her to you saying we had to buy thicker wood to try to protect it better. You want your tenants to do that. But as for the rest of your lawsuit, I think that you truly have the feeling that your landlord is somehow responsible for all these losses, and they're not. I've been through. No, we're not. We're done. And certainly not $2,500 in punitive damages.
Your Honor, can I
No,
please-
we're done. We're done. I know that you feel that there's this big Hatfield-McCoy situation going on.
No.
I see it in the flavor of the text going back and forth. I'm just not sure that you are reasonable.
I asked-
But I don't
she
need to
would-
decide if you're reasonable. I need to decide if your lawsuit is righteous. And I find that there's nothing that's due and owing from your landlord to you. The city made her pay rent for 3 weeks for you. You have a month to month. She is repeatedly on record in emails and texts telling you go get your stuff. You don't go get it because of the problem you're having with them and the police and all these other hurdles that you keep creating for yourself.
She didn't
and
tell
she
anybody
returned your
else that they were
security
harassing them,
deposit.
and I couldn't
And you didn't
even
pay the
contact
November
her.
rent. But you want her to pay the $420. There's just nothing further due and owing from that side to that side, thanks to Hurricane Sandy.
We couldn't contact her, but from January to April, we couldn't contact her because she said.
So my verdict is, that's just not true. From January to April, I see 1,000 texts and emails from you that you provided to me. I don't know where you're going with all this. You know, I know you're angry, but somebody else doesn't always have to pay because of bad things happen. Sometimes it's on you. Sometimes you have to absorb your little share of the bad thing.
Your Honor.
I'm ordering a payment for the plywood, $300. That's it.
Holy cow.
Well, after all that, you got your plywood. Come on in here. What's your take?
It was unfair because she never made provisions for us to get our things, and once she started saying that we were harassing her, she wouldn't pick up her certified letter that we were requesting our things, and never gave us notice that we could go get our things.
All right.
We got us angry.
Head around the corner there, and your documents are waiting for you there. Let's see what the landlord has to say. Come on in. All right. What do you think of the verdict?
I think this is like romper room, and it's pretty sad.
What were they like as tenants?
Bullies.
Yeah.
What?
Bullies.
Bullies. All right. Harvey?
So really, this is a case where the landlord was never at fault, but the landlord and the tenants never got along, and they got blinded. The plaintiffs got blinded by this hatred or dislike, and as a result, they never saw clearly that it wasn't the landlord's fault.